So, Michaela, Freddo frogs or caramello koalas?
Caramello koalas.
We didn't even have to think about that one.
Oh, no, they're my favourite.
Nice. What is it about a caramello koala that does it for you?
Well, it's actually thicker, so you actually get more chocolate.
Welcome to the Tradies Business Show, helping you get off the tools and into true business ownership, so you can spend more time doing the things that matter most. Now, here are your hosts, Warwick Bidwell and Michaela Clark.
And welcome back to the culinary delights of the Tradies Business Show.
We hit the hard issues on the show.
Oh, we're talking about the thickness of Freddo frogs versus caramello koalas. That's awesome. It wasn't the gooey texture inside or anything. It was all about, no, you get more chocolate.
Well, you get more fulfilled after that little... So if you're going to have one, you might as well, have a small one that has a lot more on it. Mm. But I do love a bit of caramel.
Yes, a bit of caramel.
Yeah. For
our North American listeners. And it's not a bad little segue into today's episode. I mean, we're not specifically going to talk about...
I really want to know your segue. This is going to be a really bad one, but go.
Come on, that's a bit of preemptive piss-taking there. So it's about value. See, you perceive better value in a caramello koala because it's thicker than a Freddo. But
Correct.
The reality is they probably have the same horrible sugar content and do bad things to your insides. But your perception of value, not the price.
No.
It's about the value.
Yep.
So we're not going to specifically talk about that today, listeners. But today we are going to cover 5 of the, I guess, key pitfalls that people make when they start a tradie business.
Yep.
When they're thinking about starting a trade business.
So thinking of maybe the first sort of 6 to 12 months of running a trade business?
That startup phase where you probably don't make any money but you bust your backside.
Yep.
And I'm going to give a shout out to one of our listeners. So this comes off the back of a call we had from Matt Smith. G'day, Matt, if you're listening, mate. Well, I know you do. And Matt's a bit of a fan of the show. So he is a young guy, fairly new to his own business. And he's been implementing some of the things that we've been talking about here on the show.
See, I forget people actually listen.
Yeah, we do have listeners.
Take our advice.
It's not just you and me laughing at our own jokes.
That's it. And neither of us know Matt Smith. So that's pretty exciting that it wasn't friends or family.
No. Yeah, because often it's like, hey, is this one of your friends?
Yeah. Do you know this person?
But Matt gave us a call and, we had a bit of a chat, actually. So I got a bit of feedback from young Matt. And
he says, I'm awesome and you're not?
That's not specifically what he said. Okay. But Matt's implemented some of the things. And one of the strategies that he has put in place is email marketing. Mm-hmm. And what he told me is that just by doing regular emails to his customers, he's managed to turn off his other advertising because he just survives now on referral business.
Excellent.
Well, not survive. He's actually so busy now that he's stressed out. Sorry, Matt. Because he's actually really, really busy from all the referrals.
Mm-hmm. And that's something we go on about a lot is email marketing, or I tend to go on about it. It's such a powerful tool, and people think email's dead, but it's actually not. It's one of the, easiest ways to get directly with your target market, ex-customers and leads and things. So
totally.
And it's basically,
it's free.
Free.
And I was actually reading a report yesterday about email marketing, how people are saying, oh, it's dead, doesn't work, and all that sort of stuff, and that is complete BS because it does work and it's still one of the most powerful marketing mediums and it converts like crazy if you do it well. And
also having a database of email addresses is a very big asset if you ever do want to sell the business or grow the business. So, every customer you're getting, you should be getting their email address as a bare minimum.
So let's hook into what Michaela and I see as the 5 biggest pitfalls for somebody starting out in business. And I know, Matt, you've already been in business for a little while, mate, as you listen to this, driving around Manly in Sydney. But perhaps it's worth going back and revisiting some of these things. So if you cover off on these 5 key areas, and we've got a listener all the way from Scotland, which I'm hoping to get on the show as well.
We're international. We're global.
These are the things that we reckon if you get these nailed, you'll be pretty right in your first 12 months. So the first one is probably, well, we think it's maybe a bit of a no-brainer, but it's some of the boring, legally, accounting-y stuff, like registering your business name or even having a business name. You know, don't call yourself Bob the Building Company or something. Like, don't name it after yourself. It's you know, it looks good for your ego and your mum, but like Michaela said, if you want to sell your business one day, it makes it a bit harder if it's all about you, and it also tells the customers that they should be talking to who? You. And if you do want to grow a business, the last thing you want is every man and his dog wanting to talk to you, the plumber.
Yeah.
That they're not going to want to deal with the team if the business is called, you know, Ted's Plumbing.
And another tip is don't get business cards printed until you've actually registered your business name. And I know that sounds pretty obvious.
Because it might not be available.
Yes, but I have had clients do that and weren't able to get their business name. So same as the website and everything. So it's very easy and quick to do these days now.
Yep. And it could be something really simple like, you know, Manly Plumbing Service or whatever the heck. It doesn't have to be a fancy name.
No. Just try and put in there for Google and keywords like what you do.
Yep.
So whether it's plumbing or plumber or
mechanical or electrical or whatever. Yep.
Yep.
And so off the back of that is also the structure, the legal entity that's going to own your business. And no, you shouldn't necessarily just put it all in your name. That could be a valid strategy, but you really, 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 I can't emphasise this enough, you need to talk to an accountant and a solicitor when you do this.
Yeah. And I know I see this happen a lot is they just, you know, they start out as a sole trader, as an operator, and very quickly they start making money, and all of a sudden they're over the threshold perhaps where a sole trader or company come in, and all of a sudden they're going to get a massive tax bill because they grew much quicker than they thought they were going to.
Yep.
So it's a common error. So definitely invest in getting set up from the start the right way and basically help pay less tax down the track.
Yep. So the money you invest in all of these 5 things at the start, the money and the time, is going to save you big time down the track. And Michaela and I have both seen lots of people make mistakes in these areas, and it's cost them dearly 2 or 3 years down the track because the more common story is not that tradies go out of business, but they grow faster than they thought, especially the people who listen to the show, like young Matt Smith. And all of a sudden, they're stuck with this structure or a partnership with the wife or something that's really not an effective vehicle for distributing income and you know, minimising your tax and all that sort of stuff. So, and then all the legal agreements like having contracts and terms and conditions and, you know, things on your quotes, quote acceptance policies and all that sort of stuff. And we've had a number of guests on the show talk about this, people like, you know, Aaron from On-Site Law and Larry from LedgerGuard, where there's people out there who can actually help you put all this stuff together. And it doesn't actually cost you a lot of money to do that. Yeah,
and there's a lot of associations, you know, Master Builders, Master Plumbers and QBCC that have a lot of these documents or resources or things that you can access as part of your membership as well. So, and they have a lot of help for starting out. So look at your local associations that are relevant to you and see what kind of help you can get there.
So the second big area that we see people just stuff up, or actually don't do this one, is the whole budgeting and finance, all the money and number stuff, and actually forecasting what's likely to happen in the first 6 or 12 months of your startup trade business. And yes, it's really hard to do that. And you're probably listening to this going, well, how do I budget when I have no idea how much money I'm going to make or what things cost? And that's kind of the point. You need to put some thought into it, set your sights on something, work out how much you actually need to make, even personally, out of this business so you can fund your lifestyle, whether that's your mortgage payments or your kids' school fees, or, you know, if you're a young guy starting out, it's the repayments on the Harley or the jet ski or whatever it is that you need the money for. But actually put some of that on paper and work out, all right, well, here's what I want to spend money on. So I need to pull $5,000 a month at least out of this business, which means, you know, at $100 an hour, I'm going to have to do this much work. That's going to cost me this much to run a ute. I'm going to have to buy tools and pay for my license, and actually put pen to paper and figure all that stuff out so you can see what the next 6 to 12 months looks like from a financial point of view.
And it also gives you an aim of how many jobs a week that you want to be trying to get, so a bit of focus. And then you can quickly see, when you can get more help and start to grow. But I think it's having those goals of, okay, I really need to get 5 jobs this week, and focusing, okay, how can you might have hit 4 jobs that week, how can I get that 5th job? Or just giving a little bit of focus, and that'll push you through much quicker.
Yep, absolutely. I had a conversation with a tradie just last week about the fact that he'd gone and met with his accountant to work out his break-even point, and it scared the crap out of him, actually, because he realised how much money he needed to make every day just to cover his running costs. But he's now much more focused on that, and so he's doing some more marketing and everything, because he knows that he needs to make more than $2,000 a day to cover all of his running costs and his vehicle repayments and staff and all that sort of stuff. And after that, he's making money for himself.
Yeah.
So it's really useful to do a bit of that budgeting and forecasting, so you know some of those critical numbers. And then, like Michaela says, you can actually plan your marketing, which is number 3.
And so one thing we both see a lot of people doing is, a couple of things in this area. They think they have to spend a lot and go out and spend a lot of money in the wrong areas and don't track it. So they're not really seeing how effective their marketing is. Just because your next door neighbour does a local ad in the paper doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So see a lot of people, thinking they have to spend a lot of money, which is a mistake in itself, but spending it and not tracking it and seeing where it could best be spent. And you really don't need to spend a lot of marketing when you're just starting out. It's really not something that you need to focus too much on. There's certainly things you can do with, going to networking groups and getting your name out there, and even sitting down and getting a list of 50 people that that you can go and tell that you're now doing this, you're opening up your own business. And you'll certainly find by just telling everyone that word will start to spread, and all of a sudden you'll start getting some work, then you'll get some referrals, and then you can look to invest in more marketing if you need to. But just don't think you have to spend all this money on marketing to start getting sales in the door.
That's right. And if you go back and listen to episode 41 of the show, where we talked about 15 ways to market your business for under $100, you'll get some great strategies from there. And seriously, they should cost you less than $100, if not nothing. You can set up email marketing programs now for free. You can have thousands of people on your list and send them an email once a month to say g'day, and that doesn't cost you a cent. So there's lots of strategies in there. So go back to episode 41 of the show, have a listen to that one, and market your business for next to nothing.
Yeah, and also, think outside the box a little bit. Think about your local paper. Often they want to showcase local starting businesses that are starting up, and especially young people that are taking a risk. And so just have a think about who you know in your network and who you could partner with as well. That's another big one. Who could you hook up with that can start sending you some referrals.
And when you start getting inquiries, and Michaela mentioned this, ask them where they heard about you. Where did you first hear about my business? And they'll tell you, it was I Googled you, or I saw your ute parked out the front of my neighbour's house, or whatever. But write that stuff down so that you can then make decisions about where to divert your efforts or your money to. Because when you do start to get some cash flow, maybe you can spend some money on SEO, because you find that a lot of your leads are coming from the internet, from Google search. And if you get more content on your website, get online booking forms and those sorts of things built, perhaps you can get lots more work that way instead of wasting it on newspaper advertising or a radio spot or whatever it might be. So make sure you write that stuff down. It's no good asking the question, not recording it, and then going, oh yeah, I think I get most of my work out of this.
Because you actually find when you write it down, it's not always the result you thought.
Exactly.
And so that comes into something you are quite passionate about, and that's having a sales process.
Absolutely. And so when we say having a sales process, we don't mean that you get a call, you do a quote, you send it out on the email, and you wait. That's called the hope and pray approach.
Right. So no, check that off your list.
But it is for so many of us, that's how we start out in business, and I was the same. I thought, well, if I just do proposals and presentations and quotes, then people will buy from me. I'm a good bloke. They like me. It's not really how it works, and it is pretty competitive for most of our listeners. So if that is your sales process, you need to maybe get the pen and paper out and just think about what are the steps you need to go through. we've talked about this on the show as well, and I'll have to go back in the annals of our episodes to find where we've covered off on sales. But basically, you need to have some sort of a rough flowchart where you take a call, you book the quote, you do the quote, but then you need to follow that up. So often just a simple phone call to follow up your quotes can increase your hit rate by up to double just by getting on the phone saying, "Hey Mary, did you get the quote that I sent through? Oh yeah, I've been meaning to call you about that. Yeah, we really wanted to get that done." Or couldn't find your number. Or, "Oh yeah, I'll talk to the husband." And you can just get people to take a bit of action because what will happen is your competitor will actually pick up the phone and ring and he'll get the job instead.
Yeah, and this is something I've pushed my husband on in his business that he always hated doing. He'd send a quote and goes, "Oh, well, didn't get that job." I said, "How do you know? You haven't asked." And I in the early days was making him ring the next day and just saying, "Oh, just checking if you got the quote. Do you have any questions?" And often they say, "Oh, yeah, no, it's gone to the insurance company or whatever."
Yep.
And so then he's like, "Oh, well, no, I haven't lost the job just because I haven't heard from them."
That's right.
And another good thing we like to do is have tracking on your emails, so you can actually there's ways you can do it. You can actually see when they've opened your quotes if you're doing it through a quoting program or through some email programs if you're using Gmail that actually will tell you when someone opens your email and then when they open it other times or they forward it to somebody. So again, following up can be done at the perfect time.
But at least then they've opened it and looked at it. So when you ring and ask, "Hey, have you seen the quote?" and they go, "Oh no, I didn't get it." Okay, what's going on here? But you can have a conversation with them about, they might just want some changes made. They might have got the quote and had a heart attack because the price was 3 times what they expected, but you can at least then talk to them about that and say, "Okay, so what was it about the quote that you weren't happy with?" "Oh, it's way more than we can afford." "Oh, right, well, we can make it cheaper for you. I can change the vanity for a cheaper one, or we can put some different light fittings in and get the price down." Rather than just have them go, "Oh, well, we can't afford that."
Yeah. And look, they may say no, and that's okay, and you can ask why. So even if you are a no, you can find out why you may have lost the job. But more importantly, you're not wondering whether that. So you can just cross that off your sales tracker, which, you will have.
Yep. And you can get very sophisticated with, software and all that sort of stuff. But in the early stages, just having a sales process is really important because otherwise you're racing around doing quotes. So you've done the marketing and the budgeting and all that stuff. You're out there promoting your business and getting inquiries. You're doing lots of quotes. Mostly they're free. Take up a fair bit of your time. And if you're not following them up, you're just wasting all of that effort.
Yeah, and, if you don't have time also, there is some services out there that do quote follow-up for you. I know a good one. It's called Tradies VA.
And we'll talk about that. Actually, let's talk about that next.
Yes, all right.
Point 5. So the last one, and I think perhaps the biggest pitfall for people starting out in a trade business, in any business, and I know that we have non-tradies, if you can believe it, listening to the Tradies Business Show.
In that we have any listeners listening to the show.
Oh, yeah, you got a dim view of us, Michaela. I know they definitely want to hear my voice. I like it. But we do have retail businesses and bookkeepers and all sorts of other businesses listening to the show. So g'day to any of our non-tradie listeners. But the biggest pitfall when going into business is trying to do everything yourself.
Yeah, but I'm trying to save money and I'm bootstrapping this. I don't have any time. I don't have any money to spend on getting help work.
That's right. And so you could try and do everything yourself. But the last time I checked, Michaela, you weren't a bookkeeper or an IT guru.
Well, I know my way around a good apple too, but
yeah, I like a red apple. You're definitely no good with cables because I'm looking again in the studio at the state of your headphone lead. Your coily, your curly headphone lead's not very curly anymore. But anyway, the thing is, particularly as tradies, we're not bookkeepers. We're not IT people. It's just not our strength. So
certainly not website designers.
No,
I know it's a lot of people try and do their own website and design work. And
that's right. So it's actually a mistake to try and do that stuff yourself because you're not very good at it. It's going to take you 10 times longer than an expert. and end up actually costing you more money because you're off the tools. So instead of making $80 or $90 an hour or whatever you can make doing what you do as a tradesperson, you're wasting time actually trying to build your website or develop your CRM or figure out how to set up Xero or MyOb or QuickBooks or whatever you're using. So it's actually much better to budget for that when you set your business up and pay somebody else to do those things for you from the start, and just accept that that's the cost of running a proper business.
Yeah, and often you'll find yourself doing something and it takes 3 or 4 times longer than a professional or someone that knows what they're doing can do it. So things will get implemented quicker, you'll be more productive, or your website will be up quicker, or whatever it is. It's just going to have a flow-on effect.
That's right. And this whole thing about getting help, years ago it used to cost a lot of money to get a website developed. It used to cost a lot of money to have a bookkeeper set up your books. It used to cost a lot of money to have somebody develop your systems or any of that sort of stuff. But nowadays, with even whether it's locally, using some of the great Australian companies that are around that offer support services and set up specifically for tradies, or if you want to go and offshore the stuff and get it even cheaper if you feel confident in doing that, there are ways to get all this stuff done much, much more cost effectively than ever before. So really the whole thing about I'm trying to save money, well, I'm going to do that same thing. Well, tell me your hourly rate. And most tradies are charging more than a bookkeeper. So that doesn't make sense for you to be doing a $50 an hour or $60 an hour bookkeeping job when you could actually be out fixing someone's dunny or rewiring their ceiling and making $80 or $90 an hour, plus materials and the markup you make on those things.
Yeah. And can I do another plug?
Yeah, I think we need to, because there's this whole fear around getting help to start with.
Yeah.
And, that's not very, to all the guys listening, that's not very blokey, is it, to ask for help and have somebody else help you out?
No.
So we're not very good at asking for help.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of letting somebody else do my stuff or answer my phone, for example, that's a bit weird.
Yeah, you got to let a little bit of control go and actually trust that people may actually do it better than you can.
That's right.
But just for example, obviously with Tradies VA being an outsourcing company, that we deal a lot with this industry and a lot of pushback that we get. And it's like, I don't have the time to, show you what to do, or you could never do it the way I like to do it, or I couldn't possibly have anyone else answer my phone, or it's going to cost too much money. Well, it's a simple math equation really. So one of our products is phone answering, and we can do it from just $22 a day. So you can't tell me that $22 a day when you're charging $90 an hour is not cost effective for you. So how many calls are you taking in a day? How many jobs are you missing because of your missed calls that you haven't answered, or you can't take down their details because you're in the middle of a job site, or whatever it be. Yep. There's certainly cost-effective ways, whether it is locally or offshore, like you say. There's certainly, providers out there that can do it.
That's right. And I guess, if I had to pick one of the 5, I would actually say it's number 5, of getting help. Don't try and do everything yourself, because that's really what we're talking about here. Getting advice, the first one, getting advice around your structure and your legal agreements and all that stuff. You can't do that yourself. Budgeting and forecasting, you can get help for that. There's great online services and budgeting services. You could tap into the Tradies Business Toolkit, for example, to plug one of our own products. But there's ways to get help. You could even go so far as to have a mentor, someone like myself, working with you to help you put all that together. And it doesn't cost as much as you think. Same with marketing. You can get input on those sorts of things. There's marketing courses you can do. So there are just so many ways to get help to get this done properly when you start, even before you start in your new business. And if you've been in business for a year or 2 or 3, it's actually not too late to go back through these and review them or redo them and get it done properly now before you're 10 years into this whole thing. And it starts getting a bit hard to unwind some of this stuff.
That's right.
So hopefully that's been of value to you as a listener. If you've got any feedback for us, hit us on the Facebook page, Tradies Business Show. We'd love to hear what you think. And look, if you do want some help, if you're sitting there thinking, you know what, I'm ready to put my hand up and admit that I can't do all this stuff myself, then there's a few ways you could get some support. You could join the Tradies Business Toolkit. So go to tradiesbusinesstoolkit.com. It'll cost you $1 to join that. And thanks for the feedback, Matt. But it'll cost you $1 for the first 30 days. Honestly, you couldn't really go wrong with that. And then after, pardon me, after that, it's I think you might have missed the boat. By the time you're listening to this, I'm pretty sure the price has gone up. So we should make up the new price.
We should. We'll let you know when you join for your $1.
But $10 a month after that. If you miss the boat, then you'll be on the new pricing. And you could also go to tradiesva.com.au, which is another supporter of the show. And there's all sorts of support services there, but the main one being the phone answering and job booking service. So you don't have to climb out of the roof and answer your phone every 17 minutes. You can leave that to the experts, where they will follow your scripts and your sales process, book the jobs into your calendar, and all you have to do is turn up and make money. So there's a couple of ways you could get some help, and you can certainly look beyond that. Get in touch with us at tradiesbusinessshow.com. We can talk to you about some of our other guests that we've had on the show and lots of other resources that you can tap into.
Yeah, and if you need help with training your staff or upskilling your staff or your management, make sure to also check out our show sponsors, Face-to-Face Training at facetoface.edu.au. May or may not be some government incentives available, so it doesn't actually cost you anything. So whether you want to get your employees upskilled or get some management or leadership training for yourself, those guys will be able to help you out.
Great stuff. Well, it's been good helping you avoid the pitfalls. Hopefully you don't fall into them. And if you have already, we could give you a leg up.
Till next time.
Hooray.
You've been listening to the Tradies Business Show with Warwick Bidwell and Michaela Clark. Want to get off the tools and into true business ownership? Find out how at tradiesbusinessshow.com.